Hello everyone, this is Spec coming at you one more time with my review of WrestleMania 29, which took place in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in a beautiful new MetLife Stadium up in New Jersey. It's a fantastic building, it was a fantastic set, it was a very interesting WrestleMania to say the least. A lot to get to. I'm not going to break this down by telling you everything that occurred in every match on the card. I'm just going to give my views, my perspectives in regards to the card itself, WWE's direction going forward, and also all the pageantry and the excitement that WrestleMania seems to bring every year with all of the miscellaneous stuff that they put on the show. But first, I'm going to discuss the actual pre-show of WrestleMania 29, which I actually thought was fantastic. In case many of you have not heard or did not hear at the time, the WrestleMania pre-show actually was webcast through several social media platforms, YouTube, Hulu Plus, even for the first time Xbox Live, and in addition on WWE.com, from which I actually saw it. And this wasn't your particular pre-show. It included the Intercontinental Championship match, Wade Barrett, the defending champion, against the challenger, The Miz. And also it included what I felt was very original and unique to the pre-show, and I hope they continue to do this, a four-man panel including Scott Stanford, who hosted it, who I'm a huge supporter and fan of, and I think should, in my opinion, replace Michael Cole. Also, you had the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Jim Ross, and also, surprisingly, Kofi Kingston was a part of this panel as well. They were basically up at a platform in MetLife Stadium, inside the stadium, and in the background you had the ring and the whole WrestleMania set. It was really cool. It reminded me of like a football panel that you'll see every Sunday night, every Sunday morning on Fox or ESPN or CBS or whatnot. Just four guys who have a passion for the industry talking about what they think is going to happen at WrestleMania instead of having a fluff, what I call several video packages pertaining to the matches on the cards. Essentially like a rundown without much, emphasis on predictions and also insights of what you think is going to happen in the matches, consisting of basically no-name announcers like the Mark Lloyds of the world talking about WrestleMania and hyping it up. So it was unique seeing that, and I just wanted to get that off my chest. If you have not seen it, and you can't, if you're not able to see it on YouTube or anything else like that, I'm not sure if anybody has downloaded it yet. I highly recommend that the WWE put this on the WrestleMania extras when the DVD comes out, because I think it was really cool. It's something that they should translate not only to the web, but also translate it into the actual pre-shows that you see on the television sets. Um, basically the TV version of the pre-show. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. It was a great thing, and this went on throughout the entire pre-show, which was actually a full hour. It was really cool. Now let's get to the actual matches. I should say match that took place on the pre-show. I've already mentioned Wade Barrett versus The Miz. It was actually a pretty solid match. I don't have much negative things at all, if any, to actually say about that match. I thought it was pretty good. I just hate the fact that the Intercontinental Championship, one of the top, if not the top mid-card titles, to me it's the top mid-card title in the WWE, being on the pre-show. I mean, come on, WWE. You have to have that match, to me at least, to signify the importance of your championship on the actual WrestleMania card. I mean, this is where, for the entire year, you're hyping up this event, and you have your mid-card guys who are pretty much the staple of most of your shows competing throughout the entire year. I mean, I think they should be rewarded with the opportunity to bow for a major championship at a big show. But nevertheless, The Miz was the victor, became the Intercontinental Champion for the second time via the Figure 4 leg lock. There were some really good counters involved in this match, and to me, it really showed that I think Wade Barrett is really, really good. He shouldn't have lost the championship. But thankfully, the next night on Raw, which occurred yesterday, I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, the 9th of April. Yesterday, Wade Barrett regained the championship, so I'm happy that Wade's the champion again. But The Miz winning the title was an enemy, but the match itself was pretty good. I just hate the fact that the mid-card guys are pre-shows. Top mid-card guys are in the pre-show. It just should not happen. I mean, to me, that's just horrible, horrible management of your talent. Now, let's actually get to the show itself. It didn't start off well to me. I liked the intro package. It was essentially a voiceover by the governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, talking the um, about how the state of New Jersey coping with Hurricane Sandy, and the fact that the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy has shown the resolve, the resilience of the New York, New Jersey people. Everything essentially culminating into what's occurring tonight, WrestleMania 29, essentially showing that, hey, the city is coming together, and to show you that we got WrestleMania, and look how many fans are actually coming to our city to help rebuild it. Uh, Thought it was really, really well done, but I don't like the fact that America the Beautiful was scratched from the opening portions of this card. There's no way, for the first time ever in WrestleMania history, there's not America the Beautiful being a rendition of it being played or being sung by someone. Big mistake by the WWE, in my opinion. But nevertheless, the show, after all that, kicks off with a six-man tag team match that personally I thought was going to be one of the show stealers because of everything that the Shield has done over the last several months. It turned out to be an okay match, but I don't think it was anything great. Sheamus, Randy Orton, and The Big Show seemed like the odd couple tag team, and you knew at some point during the match something was going to transpire in which those guys butted heads. It occurred at the end of the match where The Big Show would basically just stand on the apron and watch Randy Orton get speared by Roman Reigns, who I think is a fantastic worker, and I should say a fantastic character who could be a great worker in the future. And the Shield eventually wins the match. During this match, to me, it told me that everyone in the Shield, from Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, those guys are the future of the WWE. They're part of the future. I think they're great collectively, and individually, I think that they're going to be something special. But of all that depends upon what creative is going to actually do to help them out in the future. Moreover, I was actually impressed with Sheamus' ferocity during the match. I think he was extremely intense. He looked like he really wanted to have a really, really good program. Randy Orton, I don't know where they're going with him. Just very weird, his character over the last several months. To me, heel Randy Orton is a lot more entertaining than babyface Randy Orton. He's a little stale right now. Hopefully they can do some things with him, but overall it looks like it's going to be Sheamus, Randy Orton, and also the Big Show in some sort of triple threat like match or something like that at Extreme Rules. I'm actually interested in seeing what's going to happen there. Should be a good one, but for now the Shield won, and really they were the true story of this match. Their ability to sell, and also their ability to just work extremely well as a team, and each one of them has a unique character about them. Following that, we had a match that I was really looking forward to, that to me showed that maybe this could be the show stealer. And it was one of the few times in WrestleMania where you will see a big man versus a big man match take place. Ryback and Mark Henry have not had a long storied history, but in a short period of time, they've had some pretty decent segments, from the powerlifting segment on SmackDown a few weeks ago to Mark Henry destroying Ryback and Mark Henry tossing around Santino Marella, trying to prove each other wrong and not touch each other, which was part of the stipulation until WrestleMania. Really good stuff going on right there. And also, all three of these guys have personality and charisma. And that translates very well when you have big men who are working. I didn't think this match was dull, as some of the reviews that I have seen. I thought it was extremely well done. Ryback and Mark Henry are not going to be catch-as-catch-can wrestlers. They're going to be power. It's going to be full of power and full of action and full of a lot of brass. And I think that's what we got. Ryback tired out a little bit. He's got to work on his conditioning a little bit better. But Mark Henry really controlled the tempo of the match. He was extremely great as a big heel that just wanted to lash out Ryback verbally, and it came across very well on the TV screen. Surprisingly, everyone thought Ryback was going to. I shouldn't say surprisingly just yet. Everybody thought Ryback was going to win this match. Everybody that I have come in close contact with thought that would happen. A lot of my friends thought it would happen. Even I thought it would happen because Ryback seems to be the guy that they want to push next to that John Cena level eventually. But that didn't happen, and I'm glad it didn't happen. Mark Henry went over, and he won. Ryback was going to do shell shock. His legs gave away, and Mark Henry with a clean win. No ropes, no tights held, no tights pulled. 1, 2, 3. He became the victor. As soon as Ryback lost the match, Mark Henry was about to leave. But when Mark Henry turned around and saw a lot of the WWE trainers attending the Ryback, he told them to let him suffer. His words verbatim. It was fantastic. And that's exactly what they did. They left and they let him suffer. And Mark Henry was going to beat him up some more, but Ryback eventually held his ground, got back up, and executed shell shock to Mark Henry. And I think this helped both guys out. Mark Henry got the win, and he got the win clean. Ryback, although didn't get the win, still looks strong by standing up to Mark Henry at the end of the match and showing the world that he can do shell shock to Mark Henry. And it sets up a lot of interesting things going forward between those two, which was evident on Raw last night. Third match was also a match that I was looking forward to. It was a tag team title match, Team Hell No versus Dolph Ziggler, and also Big E Langston was making his in-ring debut on a big WWE stage. And what other bigger stage to do it than actually at WrestleMania? And I thought this was a very, very good, solid match. Uh, One thing I'm going to say right now, and finally, because of what happened last night on Raw, Dolph Ziggler became the World Heavyweight Champion, and the crowd was phenomenal, and Dolph Ziggler was phenomenal. And it was an amazing thing, but 24 hours earlier, you got to see why Dolph Ziggler is so great and why Daniel Bryan is so great. Those two got the hugest pops to me besides Punk and The Undertaker at WrestleMania a few nights ago. The fans love their style. Dolph Ziggler sells like a champ. He can work well against anyone, and it shows every time he's out there in the ring. Big E Langston, to me, can learn a lot from what Dolph Ziggler brings to the table. And I think that some of that actually showed during the course of that tag team match. Dolph and the WWE did a really good job of trying to hide his deficiencies. Obviously, Big E is not going to be a catch-as-catch-can guy who can move smooth in the ring, but he has a lot of great power moves, and he comes off extremely believable, and he's actually really good at selling moves. And as I said, that goes back to the Dolph Ziggler stuff. Um, Basically looking at Dolph Ziggler and pairing those two up and letting Big E learn under him. AJ Lee is also involved in this match, and I think the WWE did a good job of not letting her be the star of the match, which has happened before in a lot of matches involving AJ Lee, and she was on the back burner, which was a good thing. Daniel Bryan and Kane have tremendous chemistry. It showed once again during this match. Eventually, they became the victors of this contest, retaining the WWE Tag Team Championship. And going forward, I like the fact that Team Hell No is staying together. I didn't even realize that they've been the Tag Team Champions since September. So that's showing you that the WWE is not only paying attention to the longevity of tag teams, but also they're recognizing that Daniel Bryan and Kane work well together inside the ring and also outside the ring through promos. And the fact that they retained and looked very smooth in the ring was a great sign, and the fans absolutely loved Daniel Bryan. He was so over in this match, it was ridiculous. But Team Hell No retains. Dolph Ziggler is the new World Heavyweight Champion due to what happened last night, and also Biggie Langston continues to impress with a victory over Daniel Bryan on Raw on the night after WrestleMania, which was yesterday on Raw. So kudos to what's going on right now in the tag team division and also with those four guys specifically. The next match was a match that I thought would not be very great initially, but after I thought about it, I was like, maybe Jericho could help this guy out. And he did, as he took on Fandango, whatever you want to call his name. I don't like the gimmick. I still don't like the gimmick. But I think the guy will work well in the ring because fans will despise him. And not only will they despise him based on his gimmick, they'll despise him for the fact that we don't like the gimmick, but hey, this guy can actually move well in the ring. Jericho worked very well with the guy, as I mentioned before. One thing that I'm going to say about Chris Jericho, many people will hate on him and really be vehement about him leaving and coming back. But whenever Jericho is back, he gives a lot to not only the business, but he helps build guys as well. He helped build Punk, and he also now has helped build Fandango. And it's been pretty good so far in terms of their storyline. Fandango is really obsessed with people pronouncing his name correctly. Chris Jericho made fun of his name repeatedly, which is classic Chris Jericho. After a very series of attack by Fandango to Chris Jericho, Jericho challenged him not only to a match at WrestleMania, but more so, he was out for revenge, and this match exemplified that specifically. Jericho was on the offensive throughout the entire match, and the commentating was actually pretty good as well. JBL did a great job of selling this guy as an underdog, Fandango. And Fandango was very impressive with a lot of these different moves. He has that leg drop from the top rope, a la Matt Hardy, and also the great, beautiful Bobby Eaton with the Alabama Jam. But Jericho withstood all of that. But when the psychology of the match was really good because Chris Jericho was controlling it to the point where at towards the end of the match, basically the finish, Chris Jericho tried to do his lion salt, and although he semi-connected when he wanted to go to the walls of Jericho for a second time during the match, he couldn't do it because his left leg gave way, thus leaving Fandango to do an inside cradle slash small package for the victory. Great psychology, well done, and maybe this Fandango would be something going forward. I know Vince loves him, so overall you're going to have to view him. I still despise the gimmick. They need to tweak it. I don't like the fact he has the valet with him because she's done nothing and offered nothing to his character. She hasn't said anything either. I mean, if she's going to be there, she's got to do something, be relevant. The second thing is the music is so damn lame, but maybe after thinking about that over the last couple weeks, maybe that's a good thing for the guy, that people despise him because the gimmick is so corny and the music takes a lot away from the fans actually believing in him. But if he continues to be good in the ring, all of that could be negated. But overall, props to Chris Jericho. Looks like that feud is going to continue based on what happened last night on Raw. Should be a good one. Hopefully it will be. Right now, I'm liking the storyline. I'm liking the angle. Next, we had a very interesting situation occurring with Diddy. I want to say Puff Daddy, but I can't say that. But with Diddy, some interesting things occurred there. I actually wasn't bothered by the segment. I thought the segment was actually well placed and okay. I didn't have an issue with it like some people might have. This dude wasn't Kid Rock doing a 15 to 20 minute performance of music that no one actually cared to listen to. and also occurring before a match that no one really cared to watch was the Divas Battle Royal for WrestleMania 25 / the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania, or even Florida, whatever his name is. I'm mispronouncing it, so what? That occurred last year at WrestleMania 28 in Miami. Diddy performed a few songs, but they were basically songs that were just mixed up in bunches that were not fully performed. But his whole point of actually being there was really to build up WWE's initiative towards a Hurricane Sandy relief. And I thought that was really classy of him to do that. Um, also, um, you had um, really, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, it really wasn't much to it. I mean, it was about a 6 or 7 minute performance by him, a few songs that were spliced, and him just being an ambassador to the Hurricane Sandy relief. Did have one problem with it, and I think the fans were okay with it. It didn't drag, which previous performances have in the past. So props to Diddy for that. I thought they did a pretty good job, and the song selections were actually pretty decent. Next, we had the World Heavyweight Championship match, which I thought was didn't really care for it one bit. I'm not a fan of Alberto Del Rio at all. When he was when he was a heel, or when he was a babyface, I think Ricardo Rodriguez makes him relevant. He's the only thing that makes him relevant, and also the fact that Vince seems to really love the guy. Vince loves these aristocratic dudes. He loved the $1 Million Man. Um, he loves Alberto Del Rio. He loves these guys. So yeah, I mean, even though we don't like, some of us don't like the fact that he's become this babyface. It's so forced and so theatrical that it's on the lines of being phony. Alberto Del Rio was the World Heavyweight Champion going into this match. It was quite obvious and very, very apparent that he was going to go over in this match, regardless of all the stuff that has occurred between him and the challenger Jack Swagger over the past actually over the past month and a half. Zeb Coulter and Ricardo. Zeb Coulter being the guy who is leading Jack Swagger towards the so-called revolution to take back their country, we the people. Got to give props to two guys, Ricardo and Zeb, because without those guys, that match would be so meaningless. It's ridiculous because their antics made it at least somewhat interesting during the build to the match. The match itself, I can't really tell you that much about it because I went ahead and I got me some food. I heated my food up and I ate my food during the match. And the only thing that I can remember was actually the end and Alberto Del Rio winning. That's it. Didn't care one bit about the match. You know what? I don't think the fans at MetLife Stadium cared that much either because it was really, really bad to hear. Actually, I wouldn't even say it's bad. It was actually good to hear a lot of silence during the match because maybe it's a sign to the WWE. Stop pushing guys to the top and having manufactured pushes. A, when guys don't have not earned it, and secondly, when you have an initiative to build up a Latino superstar to be your top babyface when you're upset at two guys, Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara, who initially were supposed to have those roles. Fans actually like those guys. Fans really don't care that much for Alberto Del Rio. And it was very apparent last night when Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank, became the World Heavyweight Champion, and the whole place in New Jersey popped like I haven't heard in years. Since the Austin and Rock era, Attitude era. So there you go, WWE, with your Alberto Del Rio experiment. It's not good. After that mediocre World Heavyweight Championship match that not many people cared that much for, we getting to the nitty-gritty, so to speak, of the pay-per-view. Now, to me, the match that a lot of fans wanted to see and had high hopes for, and to me, I felt was the match of the night by far, was the match between The Undertaker and CM Punk. I don't know what it is with The Undertaker in WrestleMania. He just brings it. I remember a time when The Undertaker's matches really weren't that great. And it was the fact that The Undertaker's entrances were what made him so great. But it seems to me that ever since, and I'm going to go all the way back to actually WrestleMania 23 in Detroit with Batista, he's had a great match at WrestleMania ever since 23. I don't know what to explain about it, but this guy has just turned it on another notch at WrestleMania since 2007 at 23. I don't know if many fans have thought of it that way, but his performances have been so immaculate and spectacular that it's very scary. If Punk and The Undertaker do not receive Match of the Year votes, or at least be considered in the top one or two in terms of, I should say, the top three of Match of the Year, there's a problem. Because the psychology present here was impeccable. Their counter moves back and forth were great. CM Punk mocking The Undertaker at every chance, whether it be trying to execute the same move as The Undertaker's, the Tombstone Power Driver, or the Choke Slam, or mocking the late great Paul Bearer with the urn, and Paul Heyman, who was in the corner of CM Punk, doing the same thing. It was spectacular, and also the fact that they played off the fact that The Undertaker, if he's disqualified or if there's a pin, or if there's a count out, there's a highly likelihood that his streak would end if he ever got in that kind of danger. And they played off that danger very, very well. Like I said, brilliant psychology throughout the entire match. Mike Chioda, one of the best officials going right now. To me, I think he's the best in the business besides Charles Robinson. I think both of those guys are hand in hand. He refereed the match, and he wasn't afraid to actually disqualify or count out The Undertaker, which was just great stuff. CM Punk lost the match, of course, and The Undertaker is now 21-0 at WrestleMania. Nice round number for The Undertaker. But to me, both guys were victorious in this match. And I think as time goes by, it doesn't matter if you win or you lose against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. If you can work with The Undertaker and build that great match with him and have that chemistry, and Punk and Undertaker have always had great chemistry, dating back to when Punk was over in SmackDown and the World Heavyweight Champion and doing the Straight Edge Society stuff and feuding with the likes of Jeff Hardy and The Undertaker. They've had great chemistry. If you can work well with The Undertaker and you have good chemistry, you listen to him and he listens to you and you bounce off on each other, you're going to have a great match at WrestleMania. And at the end of the day, that's all that people care about. I don't think people care about the fact that Shawn Michaels lost twice to The Undertaker. I don't think they care about the fact that The Undertaker had defeated Triple H twice, or even defeated Batista and Edge. The fact remains is that people will remember how great the match was, and they got everything that they really wanted from the match and more. And I feel like that was the case with CM Punk and The Undertaker. If there's any match of this card that I would highly recommend that you view that match. Very well done, splendid. And The Undertaker had a lot left in the tank. He was in good shape, and he wanted to be a Tombstone Power Driver. Fans went nuts, and it was a really good moment in the WWE. Highly looking forward to seeing what Taker's going to do next. He did appear on Raw last night, about to be attacked by the Shield, and Daniel Bryan and Kane ran right down through the ring and be by his side. It's really interested to see what The Undertaker does next, since it appears that he's not going to leave immediately. My guess is that he probably will work Extreme Rules, and that'll be it for him. I just can't see him doing more than about 2 or 3 shows throughout the course of the year. I just don't see it. His body's just not there. So we all need to be very, very pleased and proud of the fact that we get to see The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Given that he's been in the company since 1990 and he's still going, it's a testament to the guy's career and his perseverance. So very, very proud of CM Punk and also The Undertaker for a great match. Worth watching. I hope you all check it out. The next match on the card was really interesting. I didn't think that it was going to be... I'll put it like this. It was either going to be three things: a complete dud, an average match, or one of the best brawls we've ever seen. And I'm talking about the no-holds-barred match between. Some people are disappointed in the fact that Triple H won this match. I'm not. I expected it, and I'm glad he did win. And I'm going to tell you why. Whenever you are involved in the storyline, like Triple H and Lesnar were, in which Triple H was not only attacked once but twice, his arm is broken twice, he loses to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2012 in LA in August of last year. His best friend, Shawn Michaels, is attacked and his arm is broken. Vince McMahon, his father-in-law, is attacked, sent to the hospital, hip replacement surgery, the whole 9 yards. The verbal abuse that Paul Heyman has generated towards Triple H about his wife Stephanie, their kids, and all of the people that are important in his life. What was going to happen? Of course Triple H is going to win that match. He had to win. If he lost that match, he would be a complete and utter punk. He had to win that match. And the way he won that match was pretty cool. I just don't like the fact that the match took forever to build up. And this tends to be a very typical thing that occurs in Triple H's matches. He waits so long to actually get things going that to the point where you're so bored over the next 10 minutes, you're waiting for something to happen. That's how I felt. But Brock Lesnar kept the tempo going. He kind of set the pace, although it seemed like he really didn't know what he was doing. So he would institute a lot of big, high-powered spots throughout the match, what I thought were actually really cool. It was just a slugfest. It was more stiff, if you ask me, to steal a term from yesteryear in pro wrestling, than The Undertaker and Triple H's Hell in a Cell last year at WrestleMania 28. It was brutal. I mean, stiff is an understatement, really. But everything culminated. Shawn Michaels was there at ringside with Triple H and also Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar. With Shawn Michaels getting an F5 from Brock Lesnar, knocking him out of the match for several minutes. Paul coming in and trying to tag Triple H, only to get a sweet chin music from a recovering Shawn Michaels, who also had a busted up nose from that F5. And Triple H applied the Kimura lock on Brock Lesnar, kind of like a tables turn sort of thing. And Brock Lesnar would not quit. He would not tap out. And Brock Lesnar, who was so upset by not defeating Triple H earlier in the match, threw in a, I mean, these are heavy steel steps. I mean, very, very heavy. You ever go to the WWE arena, I mean, WWE event, live event, and you feel those steps? They are freaking massive. So that was impressive in its own right. Brock threw one of those steel steps into the ring. Triple H capitalized on this several minutes down the road after that super kick by Shawn Michaels and applied the Kimura lock. Brock Lesnar would not tap out, so Brock Lesnar grabbed, as a form of a counter, Triple H's body and just slammed him repeatedly on this steel step that he had brought into the ring. But every time the hole would break, Triple H will apply it again. This happened actually 3 times in succession, which was really cool. It was on this is when the match really picked up. It's like it just took so long for it to do it. But Triple H got the sledgehammer. He hit Brock with the sledgehammer, and then he executed the pedigree, and he won the match. Well, I should say he executed the pedigree on the steel steps and won the match. Very cool spot. I'm actually glad Triple H won. He needed to win. He should have won, even despite his career was on the line. It needed to happen because of the way the storyline had progressed itself. Brock Lesnar had gotten the upper hand every time. This time, it was Triple H's turn to do it. Hopefully that feud is over. There's no need for it to happen again. Triple H had his revenge. Lesnar, the big beast, was taken down. Let's move on to something else. I've been hearing about The Rock and Brock Lesnar. I'm not interested in it at all. Now we're going to go to the main event. Well, before I go to the main event, let me touch on some other things that occurred during the show. WWE announced its partnership with the Special Olympics, which is very dear to me. I love the fact that they're doing that. Continue the great success, WWE, with these kind of sponsorships. It's really, really cool. And they even had Stephanie McMahon and also a couple special athletes from the Special Olympics there, girl and a boy. and you had some officials from the Special Olympics. It was really good stuff. High class for the WWE to do this. I like the initiative. Second thing, the WWE um, paid homage to its Hall of Famers. And the Hall of Fame occurred at Madison Square Garden the night. Um, and it was very classic. And they do this every year. Howard Finkel announces all the Hall of Famers, the new Hall of Famers. In order, you had Mick Foley, who received a huge pop from the crowd, who I think Hall of Fame this year should have been a little bit bigger than what they gave him. For all he's done for the WWE, I think Mick Foley deserved even more praise than he actually got. If you ask me, he should have closed out the Hall of Fame. Second was Booker T. And Booker T, former 5-time WCW champion, has actually been involved with the WWE ever since 2001, despite his brief hiatus from the company when he went to TNA for a few years and a cup of coffee. He's been affiliated with the WWE for a while, and it's really good to see him get that nod. I grew up watching Booker T when I was knee-high when he was in Global, so really happy to see him get in the Hall of Fame. Third was Bob Backlund. Should say Trish Stratus. Excuse me. Trish Stratus was next. She's announced that she is actually going to deliver she's going to deliver a Stratus faction, a young Stratus faction, later in September during the Hall of Fame. In other words, but besides that, congrats to Trish. Trish was, I wouldn't say a pioneer, but she showed that you can be pretty, you can be cute, but if you have that passion, you have that heart and the drive to be great in this business, that's all you need. And the fact that she was beautiful and elegant, and it's amazing how her career spanned it out. At the beginning, it was all TNA, literally TNA, Test and Albert with her. And it was all about her beauty and her looks for the first year and a half of her career. And sometime in the middle of 2001, I think it started with her angle with Stephanie McMahon, she shifted and became more interested in becoming a really good wrestler, a decent wrestler, working with Fit Finlay, working with several trainers like Al Snow, even Bill DeMott. She helped build herself up into not only a very beautiful woman, but she was a decent wrestler. She wasn't great, but she was very decent, and she could hold her own. And you could see Trish's progression every year until she eventually left the WWE. I believe it was around 2005 or 2006, but excuse me, I think it was right at the end of 2006, around Survivor Series, somewhere around there. She got better and better and better every year, and that's a testament to Trish Stratus, and I'm happy she got in the WWE Hall of Fame. She deserves it. Next, we have Bob Backlund, former 2-time WWE champion, one of the best champions of all time. I was glad he got the recognition. Kudos to Bob Backlund. Next, we have somebody who should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. Both sides really couldn't agree to much, but it was really good to see Bruno Sammartino be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and the WWE gave him the props. He deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, and he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame in that setting, in New Jersey/New York. He was a very great component to what the WWE was. He helped build the WWE as its champion for several years, so as you can even say several decades. And he was essentially, to me, the Lou Thesz of the WWE. Without Bruno Sammartino during the 60s and the 70s, I don't think WWE would have survived in the 70s, even made it that far. He was a very big cultural icon in that area, and he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. So kudos to Bruno Sammartino for officially as a WWE Hall of Famer. After all of that, let's get to the main event. The Rock versus John Cena, in which I call twice in a lifetime, because it was twice in a lifetime. WWE. I didn't like the match at all. I'm going to say it point blank. And I know a lot of fans didn't like it either. For those fans that did like it, I don't hold no ill will toward you. You like what you like. But that match showed me several things about The Rock and John Cena. One, they don't have any chemistry at all together. At all. Their entire feud has been manufactured on comments that John Cena has made indirectly and directly toward The Rock in a very shoot fashion prior to 2012. It happened many years ago, around 2008, 2009, and it continued to fester and fester and fester. But when these two are together, I think John Cena is intimidated by The Rock, The Rock's presence. You can see it through the promos. You don't necessarily see it in the ring, but you definitely see it in the promos. In the ring, you kind of do it slightly because The Rock is so charismatic. He's so over with the fans, and babyface John Cena really doesn't know what to do at times. I don't know if a lot of that is force-fed to him by WWE management or if it's just John Cena himself. But those two just don't mesh well together. This match that occurred 2 days ago, WrestleMania 29, the only thing that I really liked about it, well, actually, I'll say two things. One, the entrance. It wasn't melodramatic as it was last year. You didn't have these grandiose entrances. This was one of the first times in a long time John Cena just came out to the ring to his music. Same thing with The Rock. It was very and it was weird because the WWE had canceled the eight-man mixed tag team match, intergender tag team match, and I think the fans were looking forward. I won't say looking forward. I will say this: they were looking forward to another match, and I think that match would have been the filler match. They thought that match would be the filler match, and instead it turned out that they canceled it, and I don't think the fans were ready for Rock and Cena just yet. So I think that's the reason for a lot of the crowd on TV seeming to be not so interested in the contest. But overall, another thing I liked about the match was the fact that at the end it had some pretty good pacing to it. But this match was a carbon copy of what occurred last year at WrestleMania. It was the same match with one different twist. John Cena won. He had not made the same mistake he made last year by not only insulting The Rock and trying to do the people's elbow, but actually doing it. This time he held his ground, and after several counters thereafter, he executed Attitude Adjustment and won the match. And it was just, I mean, it could have been so much better. But these two just don't have a lot of chemistry. Rock appeared to be blown up again at the beginning of the match. Turns out that The Rock actually tore his abdominal muscle during the course of this match. And the fact that The Rock stayed is a testament to him in this match and actually finished it out and as fast-paced as he did. So that was pretty cool of The Rock to actually do that. But at the time as this was happening, it was so slow and so rugged. It was as if both guys were playing off the fact that, hey, let's not make the first mistake. I'm not going to make the first mistake, and this is what occurred. It was a lot of slow motion going on in the match until the last 5 minutes. Also, WWE had played this whole matchup as John Cena's redemption, while at the same time not doing anything whatsoever to make us feel like he should be redeemed, or the fact that he was really seeking redemption. There was no celebration at the end of the match. It was so melodramatic. They wanted to do this phoniness of The Rock shaking John Cena's hand and vice versa. John Cena leaving the ring so that The Rock can get an applause. And both guys holding their hands up in the air right at the top of the ramp to basically signify that we are friends now. We respect the hell out of each other and we're going to go our separate ways. And it was so phony and fake and just made the whole show look like a joke to me. It left another bad taste in my mouth. It reminded me of Orton and Triple H at the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania 4 years ago. It didn't feel legit. You have one of the best workers of all time, The Rock. You have a really decent worker in John Cena who can draw a reaction out of everybody. But you have John Cena smiling all the time during the match and just acting like a complete goof. The Rock trying his best to build this up. And I even think The Rock realizes that I'm going to try to do the best I can with this guy. I just don't think it clicks. And Rock and John Cena, if there's anything I can say about those guys, it's just the fact that they don't click with each other. It doesn't mesh. It's so forced and so melodramatic. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And I think the crowd knew this too. They felt that way. I don't think the finish was bad at all. I think the finish was pretty good. But the mannerisms of John Cena really hurt, and also all the aftermath crap really left a bad taste in my mouth. I will say this: I like that WWE Championship. It's grown on me. But that was the show in itself. The other stuff I'm going to talk about to finish this video up, deal with some of the details about WrestleMania and stuff that I'm going to take from it, and what I think the WWE can do to move forward towards WrestleMania 30, in which I am planning to attend in New Orleans. I'm really looking forward to all the festivities again. As you see, I have the WrestleMania 27 hat on that I attended in Atlanta. Wasn't the best of WrestleManias, but the fact that you go to a WrestleMania live, it's the experience that counts. So I'm going to touch on a couple things. One, I thought the set looked fantastic. You had the Statue of Liberty on top of the actual platform that was above the ring. I thought that was really cool. There was a lot of stuff that was overdone in terms of the pillars, the four pillars that basically held the platform up. WWE's got to come with a better solution with that. And this is the problem with having stadiums, open stadiums for your shows. You have some sort of pillars or some sort of steel fragments, so to speak, or steel arrangements that hold it up. It blocks the views of spectators, and apparently they had a lot of issues with that. And once again, like they had last year with those big palm tree pillars for the WrestleMania 28 set. Something's got to be done with that. It's blocking the view. When you at WrestleMania, you're paying top dollar for WrestleMania. Those tickets are very expensive. You want to see the entire action. And for the stadium, in a way the stadium looked, there's no excuse, because you could really see a lot of good stuff going on in the ring, even if you're all the way up at the top of the stadium. There was 80,000 fans that attended the show. A very good crowd, very large crowd, but the sound, once again, open stadium, the sound goes out. It doesn't enclose itself. If this show was at the Garden, the fans would have popped louder than they did on Raw in New Jersey last night. Obviously, WWE's not going to do that ever again, probably, because they love to make that money. But it just didn't come across. The sound didn't come across well at all throughout the course of the show. I have several friends that attended the shows, attended the show, and they all tell me that the sound was really loud, and I don't doubt that. I was at WrestleMania 27. I mean, I see it. But stadiums don't enclose the sound. The sound just goes out very, very fast. So it didn't work well with a lot of the matches, in which normally the crowd would just pop real loud. You didn't get to hear that as much through the show. Next, I'm going to say this. WWE has to do a better job with their mid-card. Antonio Cesaro, the U.S. champion, wasn't even involved in WrestleMania. That's a big blunder. That cannot happen, especially the fact that you were pushing these guys. It goes back to the fact that what CM Punk said a few days ago through the interview. They did the same thing to him. They'll push you, then they'll de-push you. They'll push you, then they'll de-push you. But there's no consistency, and there's no progression. There needs to be better progression with your mid-card. These are the guys who should be your next big stars in the company. They can't be just stuck in one spot or de-pushed as well. Can't happen. So the Antonio Cesaros of the world, the Miz's of the world, and also to me, Wade Barrett, they got to be pushed up more. They're the champions. They're the men who are in control of the mid-card, the next step to the top of the ladder. Fandango cannot be higher than those guys. It cannot happen. Next thing I'm going to say, I'm really looking forward to what the WWE is going to do with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler now has the ball as the World Heavyweight Champion. Fans seem to like him. I don't think he's turning face at all. But if they do, I won't be surprised. I think Dolph can be a very great champion because he can sell, he can work his ass off in that ring, and he is becoming more polished, not only as an in-ring worker, but his promos are getting better than they used to be. He's not great yet, but if he can work at his craft like Bret Hart did and had to overcome that, And I know Ziggler's voice isn't the best, but I'm going to quote something that Ziggler said last night on Raw after he won the title. To me, made me feel that this guy is legit and can carry the ball as a champion and is ready for that match, ready for that role. He said, "I've been too damn good for too damn long. It's my damn time." Enough said. If he can have that kind of momentum, go ahead, Dolph Ziggler. I think you can do well. Next thing, Daniel Bryan as well. To me, towards the end of the year, I love him and Kane, but Daniel Bryan needs to be in that top of the card too. He's been there a while now. He's grown as a character. He, to me, is the most over guy in the company besides Cena and Punk. I think it's time for him to finally get his comeuppance and moved up to the top of the card. Next, I'm going to say this. I like The Rock, and I appreciate everything that he's done for the WWE for even coming back, doing all this stuff. I just wish that it wasn't with John Cena. I hope that they can find some sort of storyline with The Rock to keep him involved towards SummerSlam or even towards WrestleMania next year. I just don't care about Brock Lesnar and The Rock. And I don't know if The Rock want to withstand a stiff guy like Brock Lesnar. This isn't the Brock Lesnar of 2002, 2003 anymore. This is the stiff Brock Lesnar who is still working like he's in MMA. So, I don't know if The Rock wants to do that, but hell, another Rock and Triple H match may be something special. I don't know. I mean, maybe they can think about doing something like that. And also, I'm going to close the show out by saying WrestleMania 29 was not bad. And for anybody that says it was a horrible, horrible show, I disagree. There were several elements in the show that I thought were really good. It was just things were misplaced, mismanagement of talent, and also mismanagement of card and time structure. There was no reason for that eight-person tag match to not be on the show when on Raw it took less than 5 minutes to occur. Give me a break, WWE. You could have done a lot better. And the show went off 15 minutes earlier than it should have at WrestleMania. So there's no excuses. And also, I'm looking forward to the DVD, and specifically the Hall of Fame, and see how all that turned out. I love the Hall of Fame, and I love the fact that they do it. WrestleMania is a weekend. It's a weekend festival. If you've never been to WrestleMania before, it's worth, and you're a wrestling fan, it's worth doing it at least once to really soak in all the activities, the outside activities that goes on, the several wrestling promotions that put on their shows in smaller arenas, or the Fan Fest, the WrestleCon, stuff like that. It's so worth doing and checking out and experience. And plus, you have the pageantry of the whole city around you, the big market city that you can check out too. So, overall, I'm not going to give this WrestleMania a rating. I'm just going to say it was an okay WrestleMania. It was nothing very special about it, but CM Punk and The Undertaker stole the show, and it's very much worth checking it out. My name is Spec, a.k.a. Brandon, from not only In Your Head Wrestling Online, but also my very own company, B-Spec Productions, in which you can check out on Facebook.com/BSpecProd. It was great talking about WrestleMania. I always love talking about it. This was my video of it. Take it for what it is. Have any questions or comments, please post them. I'll be responding to them. And be glad to hear what you thought of WrestleMania 29. I'm just going to close out and say, really, really interested in WrestleMania 30 to see how all that will transpire. Take care, everyone, and check out WrestleMania the replay, and also purchase the DVD to get your own view of it. Later, peeps and peepettes.